The footholds provide a ton of control on the Summerboard, and every seasoned rider uses them. They seem sketchy at first glance, but the reality is that they provide a much higher level of control, and most riders don't feel safe going full speed without them. Learning to use them the proper way can give you the best of both worlds, which is precise edge control and safety with the ability to quickly bail out if necessary. We're going to start with the metal brackets only. You only need two tools to install the footholds: the 3mm Allen wrench, a 2.5mm Allen wrench, and an 8mm wrench, or a small adjustable wrench or pliers if you're in a pinch. You can also get the Shred toolkit that has both of these tools and all of the other tools you need to make any adjustment or replacement on the board at the accessories section on summerboard.com. There are 3 sets of hardware for the footholds: the black nylon footholds, the black steel brackets, and the hardware. Start by installing the brackets to your favorite snowboard stance. If you don't know your stance, then use a ducked stance that will have your feet facing outwards like a duck. This is the best stance for snowboarding and summerboarding, as you'll have the most versatility and easily be able to ride switch. M5 bolts and go through the top of the deck, through the slots or the holes for the foothold mount. Then use the washer and nut on the bottom of the deck to fasten each screw. Tighten the nut with your hand for 1 or 2 turns until you can't turn anymore. Then use the wrenches to tighten the foothold down. Don't over tighten, just make sure the bolts are snug enough that the brackets can't turn or move. Get a few turns in with just the brackets on the board so you can get a feel for pressing your feet outwards against the brackets to get a grip on the board, and get used to riding with the footholds. Once you feel comfortable, move on to installing the footholds. Take off your shoe and place it on the board for measurement purposes. Slide the foothold onto the bracket to determine the best height for your shoe. And remember to use the shoes that you're going to ride in. Then use the 2 M4 foothold screws and the 2.5mm Allen wrench to fasten the foothold from the inside. Then put on your shoe and test the height and stance. The bracket is steel, so you can bend it a little bit for adjustments as well. I like my brackets to be bent slightly up so it makes bailing even easier. Once you get the footholds where you want them, the first thing to practice is bailing out. Start by placing your feet inside the footholds and really mash your foot in tightly. Then jump out with both feet at the same time and bring your feet together like a leprechaun. You can see from the side view that jumping backwards is the best way to get out of the footholds. Jumping forward is just much more difficult and will result in the board running into the back of your ankles, so always bail to the back. Next, try rolling at a slow speed and jumping out of the footholds in the same way. Make sure you land with both feet on the ground at the same time, which means you have to jump off the board with both feet at the same time. Practice this before you ride so you have full confidence to use the footholds as intended, with your feet tightly placed inside. Practice jumping out of the footholds until it becomes second nature. Just like snowboarding, you'll develop little alarm bells that start ringing when you're about to fall, but unlike a snowboard, you can simply jump off instead of being forced to try to ride it out. When these bells go off, it's always better to just jump off and try again. After a while, you'll notice that you rarely ever bail. We even have a rule in our local riders group that if you bail, you buy the first round of beers after the ride. But practice this regularly, and you'll find that bailing out becomes second nature and super easy. Now it's your turn. Get on your board and master this skill. Revisit this video as often as necessary to keep your bearings throughout the training process. Take the extra time to get comfortable before moving on to the next skill.